And it's now 2 minutes after 7, so I will call the meeting to order. Mr. Iggy, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Barry?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Paris? Commissioner Lawrence? Here. Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Gribble, absent. Commissioner Setzer?
Here.
And we should say Mr. Gribble fell on the ice and is very sore, but not broken, so he's an excused absence. So we'll have the pleasure. Okay, welcome everybody, and sorry about Jim, but he says he's on the mend, but very sore still, so. Welcome back, Ms. Harmer. We'll get used to that pretty soon. We missed you, but we hope you had a great time. Mm-hmm. Good, good. There being no visible visitors this evening, we will go past the public comments and obviously no presentations. So we'll jump right into the committee reports. So Bob, you want to talk about public art because it's all fresh in our minds?
Sure. Let's see. We discussed a number of things. First, Tony Kirk, who is an acrylic pour artist, will be displaying in March. If everything, all the construction goes as planned, and I believe she'll be in, this stuff will be in the council display area. Let's see. We did talk about wanting to pursue contact with representatives from the school district about displays. Now, is this a Reflections program? Is that something that happens every year? Okay.
Missouri Reflections? Yeah.
Okay. And so we need to still reach out and find somebody who might want to, again, after Tony. Maybe one more thing we can put on the walls. Okay. Let's see. And there is a middle school teacher. Is that Chris Palmer's a middle school teacher? Okay. Her students are trying to display, or will be trying to display, quilting. Are these quilting blocks, or are they going to be quilts themselves? Are these, how big are they going to be, Mike?
Just quilting blocks, squares.
Squares. Okay, and this is, help me out with this. This is basically at Centerview, and this is representing storytelling and folk art. Is that correct?
It is, if I remember the section that they're teaching is they're using quilts to tell stories through the artwork of the quilt. And so they're creating these larger art pieces from the individual art pieces, just as they did with the Kandinsky circles that are currently out there. And so it'll be a similar theme where you have the individual students have smaller blocks that are then creating these larger art pieces that'll be hung at Centerview.
Okay, and hang on a second, Mike, because I do want to pick your brain with the JT sketch that we also saw. If you could speak on that.
So JT Daniels, who is the artist that is creating the Recreation Park mural, submitted a very early rough draft today. Presented that to the Public Art Committee for some feedback and received, I think, some positive feedback. But we're looking for, I think, a little more direction, and we'll be getting back with him tomorrow to provide him some of that feedback and information.
Okay, and Harriet, do you want to talk to this public art promotion with the Nelson that you have in mind, this film night? Okay,
just it's just an idea. The Nelson is about to have a very long and extensive outdoor public art construction called the Walking Wall by a very well-known international artist who's going to build a wall from what used to be the Rock Hill Tennis Club across to the Nelson Addition, And it will take a number of months to do. It will have be possible for people to participate. It'll be using local stone. And at one point, it will close down Rock Hill Road for about 5 weeks as the wall walks across the road. And so it's going to be a pretty big impact public art piece. I've seen a documentary of Andy Goldsworthy, the artist, which is quite fabulous in and of itself, just the documentary, and then the work that he does is quite wonderful. And it occurred to me that it might be a possibility for to raise the consciousness of Raymore about public art and what it can be. This is not something that we would be able to undertake with an artist of that caliber, but it might generate some ideas. It certainly should generate ideas or interest in the piece itself as it progresses. And then it also occurred to me that there are a number of other pieces of major public art on the grounds at the Nelson that there might also be films about. So we might do one of two things, either have sort of a film series at Centerview where we highlighted maybe not just Nelson public art, but other places too. We might be able to get a docent or a curator from the Nelson to come out and talk about this piece and other pieces, or we might do a combination, or we might just do a one-night thing. So Mike is going to talk to people at the Nelson and see if we can't make that connection. I'm just very sure they're going to have that DVD for sale in the gift shop around, because, but there's also been another documentary about him, but it isn't released to the public yet. But I saw it at a not-for-profit Arts Council kind of setting, so I'm pretty sure we could do at least that one, and maybe the Shuttlecocks, and maybe the Henry Moores, and maybe those kinds of things. Maybe there are other movies available through the Nelson, or real people who would come and talk to us about it. So that was the idea.
Well, thank you. Any questions about that?
No, I think that's a great idea, because believe it or not, I would venture to say there are so many people who have never been to the Nelson, haven't been to Johnson Community College to see the Modern Museum of Art there. So I think that's a great idea.
I was going to just say, one of my students from '97 is a docent at the Nelson, and he is an artist, and he's from Raymore, and he might, that might be your in right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. And he does a lot of,
Maybe give his name to Mike?
yeah,
That'd be great.
Great.
I can't think of it right now, but I will.
It's all right here. Lastly, we had an update with the staff of Parks and Recs are a little less inclined to go the route I was trying to prescribe for the Little Free Library. We're going to try to rework that and see if we can still, move a few phases around and see if we can still get something going on here in Raymore with Little Free Libraries. But Mike, do you want to speak to that at all, or I just hit that? I got it. All right. And that's the update then. There's public arts.
Any other questions or suggestions for Bob? We did just meet right before this, so it's very fresh.
I was going to say one
yes.
thing with the reflections. I know that those, whatever is created has to be submitted. I don't know if those ever come back to the actual students, because you have to submit their work to the schools, or whoever I guess is in charge of it actually submits it to the state. I don't know if they ever see that back.
Well, my understanding is that actually the kids do get their work back. They should get them back, because they send a photograph of the piece itself to the state and then to the national. If
I think it depends on what it is then, probably. Yeah, depends on what they created,
Okay.
I guess is what it's, yeah.
Okay, well, obviously we'll find
Just
out
food
more
for
about
thought.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know your connection too. Because, I mean, obviously, it's a great program, so. Okay, Lauren, do you want to tell us about you? Thank you for the written, and I'm very jealous of your ability to do red circles on your reports.
Yeah, so Harriet, Sharon, and I, we got together till end of last month and had another performance arts group committee meeting. And we basically got into defining our role and kind of what we want to be as a committee. So, you know, I put some notes together that Mike shared. You guys can review it kind of at your leisure if you haven't had time to do it. And, you know, I basically made some bullet points. Basically what we did is we did an exercise where we took the different facilities here in Raymore and what would make sense in each facility, kind of just to kind of get some ideas out on the table and kind of drive some discussion as we move forward with the performance arts. I know Mike showed us the progress that they've made with the amphitheater, and there's been more since he's shown it to us. So, I mean, definitely go out there and take a look. They're moving quickly, and, you know, we'll have something soon, so.
Any questions or suggestions for performance art? Okay, thanks again, Lauren. Sharon, you want to talk about education and working group? And you guys are moving right along, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess their staff reports are going to talk about the Family Art Day, so I don't want to cut in on their territory. But who knows what's going to happen this weekend? I mean, right now, Laura and I are Laura's going to be the leader for the Family Art Day on Saturday, which is Kindness Rocks. Melissa, we said we had, 23 signed up? So I guess we won't know till Friday night how bad the storm is and whether or not we have to postpone and do like we did with Rock You America, reschedule it. We have something going for March. April, as I sent an email to everybody and thought that we should try for the adult paint and sip party. And the Centerview has an opening both on Wednesday the 24th and Thursday the 25th. So I asked Melissa to check with one of the two studios that we've had in the past to see if there's any availability for one of the teachers to come run a class, because I think that would be great for April. And then, Melissa, do you want to talk about the Ray Peck Foundation discussion, or?
We can do that.
Why don't you just
really quickly
mention it? Yeah.
So Tabitha from Dave's Bike Shop sent an email asking if we at the Arts Commission would like to be involved in they have an annual 5K. I don't remember what the proceeds go to, but it's a great opportunity to partner with them. But they usually do an activity during the registration for the 5K. They saw our Kindness Rocks painting class and thought that would be kind of fun. Wanted to know if we wanted to be involved to partner with them. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that we have to be there, but maybe we provide rocks or supplies. I know that, Laura, you said you're going to be out of town. Anyway, so that's an opportunity to kind of get some exposure for the Arts Commission. They say they usually have 150 participants in the 5K. So it's the first Friday of May.
Melissa, do you know where they do this activity? I mean, is it right by the bike shop, or
is it at Rec Park?
It's Recreation Park.
Oh, it's at Rec Park, okay. Well, in any event, so Laura and I Laura won't be here, and it doesn't mean that we have to actually be there participating, but I think it would be good exposure. And, if we have leftover supplies, or it's minimal cost to provide some rocks. So I think it might be nice if we could get our name on there as one of the co-sponsors for little money. And I it's fine with me. If everybody else, are there any questions? I mean.
So they're asking for money from us?
Not necessarily.
They're asking for any partnership,
Okay.
whether it's supplies or there's going to be some money involved no matter how we participate. But yeah, they're asking for basically a sponsorship, partnership.
I went and got about 80 rocks like this size, $7 is how much it cost. So it's, the rocks that I got were
And
pretty.
any supplies that we would provide, I mean, we have the budget under the Family Art Day budget item. It very easily could come from there and wouldn't
Right.
have an impact anywhere else on the budget. And
Particularly since May, we cannot do anything at Centerview. This may be in lieu of doing that at Centerview, which might be a good opportunity. That way we would have something every month. If we do the paint and sip in April, do the partnership with them in May, and then I've got plans for June, July, August, pretty much rest of the year. So I think Melissa and I will talk more about that.
Well, I mean, I don't have any problem co-sponsoring, but it seems like we ought to do something, be a presence, and 150 participants is a little daunting. But are those usually, do you know, are they families of people biking together, so it would be more like a family art day where one family would do 2 rocks or something? I mean, it sounds...
the event in May, it's a 5K, it's a foot race around Recreation Park, and it's all in to support the Ray Peck Foundation. So this is the scholarship fund and other things. It does attract mostly families, mostly the families who have students in the Ray Peck School District. Usually a very well-attended event at Recreation Park, and so there would be a large crowd there that I think we'd be able to, if we were to promote items from the Arts Commission, it would be a good crowd to promote them through.
They do, Ray Peck Foundation does have a Facebook page, and I actually got on it today to look and see. I mean, it's all about promoting welfare for children and community involvement with the students. So, I mean, it's they've got some good ideas to help, the students. And I think it would be a great idea, but we can talk about it. We've still got a little bit of time.
I don't have any problem doing it. I just think if we're going to do it, we ought to be a presence there somehow, have our little tent and our signs and rocks and whatever, so that we're actually,
Yeah, I guess my point was that since Laura will be gone, we can't rely on her to
Right.
run everything.
no,
But I will be here that day. The next day, if it's on a Friday, I'll be here. The next day, Saturday, I will be gone. So I could participate. And, as long as I don't have to help 150 kids paint.
and I'm glad to participate too. I mean, I think, and usually we can get our families to come and help too sometimes. So if Laura will, but which reminds me, maybe this is a good time to suggest that commissioners stop by on Saturday morning, assuming that we have the workshop, and so if you do cancel, Melissa, maybe you would send it out to the commissioners too, so we would know not to show up, but to show up and kind of observe, so that maybe when it comes our turn to be encouraging people to paint rocks, we'll know what the heck we're talking about. And also, it'd be fun to watch. So I'm fine with it, and I don't know if we need a motion. We do not. We just need to agree that we're going to be a co-sponsor.
This would just be the Education Working Group would be using their budget item to
Okay.
sponsor the supplies or the event in May.
Okay, great. I have one more question, and that is, for the April Paint and Sip, will the review be out in time to promote that?
No, and I'm sorry, I meant to email you back, but I'm still catching up with stuff. It won't be out until the first week of May, but those are such popular events that, I honestly don't think we really have to have it in the review to sell it out. But we can definitely plan ahead for a paint and sip in the fall to be able to have that in the review in time. But for this one, if we want to do it in April, I don't think we have to have the review to sell seats.
So what do you do, just contact people who have been
We can do that
before,
and through our social media.
and the email thing?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I know they've sold out each time, so that's good. Okay. Anything else, Sharon?
Melissa, if you could just communicate with me once you've talked to either Moscato Masterpieces or Got Art, and just, I'll leave it up to you. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. I mean, but if you could just chat with me about ideas. I mean, hopefully somebody will be able to do it in one of those days.
Any others? Questions, comments, suggestions? You guys are just gung-ho. And the Rock U thing was, I was only able to stay a few minutes, but it was a lot of fun, and Jim Heath was extremely adaptable to the people who were confused about where they were supposed to show up, and because it had been changed and all that kind of thing. I mean, he did really well. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure it ended well.
Yes, and I want to thank Pat for being there. I mean, Jim did a wonderful job because the children this time versus the last year when we did it were much younger. And oh my, Pat can attest. I mean, there were some very non-shy little 3- and 4-year-olds that just got up in front of that mic and just were having a grand old time. But Jim did a wonderful job, so I'm really appreciative of that.
There was a lot of talent displayed that morning by very young citizens of Raymore.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sharon. Okay, we'll go to staff reports and hear about the budget, and I don't think it's changed that much, has it?
Well, before I get to the budget, I have 2 items I wanted to remind the commission about. First is we are still collecting survey results for the most recent survey that we sent out for the Arts Commission. If you could encourage as many people as possible to take that survey. We have been promoting it through the Review. We've been promoting it through our social media and elsewhere. It's just raymore.com/arts, and you can find the link to the survey there. We're still under about 100 people who have taken the survey, and I'd really like to get it to 100 to really give us a good number of survey responses. Second item I'd like to talk about, we have the MACA conference is coming up in April, on April 8th and 9th in Columbia. Would like to see if there are any commission members who are interested in attending that event. It's at the Stony Creek Inn, which is just kind of on the south side of Columbia there. That's the hotel and the conference center. Arts Commission, or we have budgeted funds for attendance at the conference as well as the overnight stay, and so we definitely would like to have someone selected or 2 selected. The deadline is March 7th for us to apply for that.
Can you tell me what that is? What's the name again?
It's the Missouri Association of Community Arts Associations. We are a member of that group, and essentially it is the arts commissions, the private endowments and foundations, the public arts groups throughout the state of Missouri. This is a chance for all of those folks to get together. I know we've had commission members in the past who have attended, have come back with some really good workshop information. It's a really good kind of professional development, is networking with other arts agencies in the state. We always try to encourage the commission members to attend this conference, as it really is probably the most pertinent to what we're doing here at the Arts Commission at Raymore.
So it's April 8th and 9th, a Monday, Tuesday, I think. Bob, you've been to one, correct? And Sharon?
I've been to a couple.
I've been to 2. I went to a one-day of theirs, but that, and what confuses me is I can't get any information on the website yet because it's just called Professional Development Workshop for 2 days, and it doesn't have who the speakers are, what the content's going to be. So, I've been sort of waiting to see, and today it still doesn't tell me. But commissioners who might be interested in doing that on those 2 dates, let's talk. And any staff members that would want to go. Melissa, you've been to one, haven't you? Mm-hmm. And was that helpful for you?
Yes, I thought it was really great information the whole day and a half.
Yeah. And Mike, have you been?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But Okay, so we'll figure that out in the next week or so. I mean, there's plenty of time yet to make the reservations, so.
And then as for the final staff update, I do have an updated budget. The two major items that have gone out in the most recent budget are the approval of the permanent art piece that had been updated from Hawk Ridge Park to TB Hanna, as well as the farmers market sponsorship that as they're beginning their planning for 2019, we have also taken that out of the, or as spent that through the budget. Any questions that you have on the budget?
I don't, the Hawk Ridge or the TB Hanna piece, it says out to bid. I was under the impression that we knew who was going to do it. I mean, but is there a process that other entities can go through, or?
So there are, technically with TB Hanna, there are 5 separate individual projects, and that includes the playground, the spray ground, the concrete work that'll be done around the entirety, as well as several others, individual projects that are encompass that whole park. And so by putting out to bid, what I essentially was trying to say is that project is moving forward.
Okay.
It is still on track, and they are in the process of bidding out some of those elements. And so publicly, you may see TB Hanna projects out to bid. You may see that advertised, but that's really just where we are in the process.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
And that's the end of staff reports.
Okay, thank you, Mike and Melissa. So the next item of business is the approval of the minutes or corrections thereto. Any corrections or additions? If not, the chair entertains a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved?
Second. Thank you. All in favor, right hand up. Okay, unanimous, thank you. And I think Mike covered all the unfinished business that I could think of. Anybody else have any unfinished business to bring? Or new business? We've also talked new business already, pretty much. Are there any additional commissioner comments this evening? Yes, Bob.
I just wanted to remind everyone that the local high school is going to have Philip King's comedy, See How They Run. They are going to host that show at the high school February 14th through the 17th. The 17th is a Sunday. That'll be a matinee. I believe that's a 2:30 start, so you want to show up half hour before. The other, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you'd want to show up at 7. I think they'll start at 7:30. It's $7 for adults, $5 for students. So I encourage you to go see a nice play.
Thanks for the commercial. And I would just like to close with reminding everybody of what Mike said. We really want to encourage people to do the survey. I carry these little things around with me. I just ripped them off on the computer one day and saying, Raymore wants your opinion. And anybody that I think is a resident of Raymore, I hand these out. The Foxwood Springs people should be pretty well represented in the answers. If they're not, I'll be very disappointed. That's been my way to do it, and it kind of gives people something to hold in their hand and look at and remind them. So whatever you can do. Do we have a cutoff date for that now, Mike? Or did we talk about that?
March 1st.
March 1st. So, okay. So we won't actually have the results before, like, the Performance Art Committee meets. Is that right?
We can give a snapshot of results for sure.
I think that would be helpful. By then, probably we're going to have pretty much what we're going to have. But obviously, plenty of opportunities for people to participate. But I think for the committees to have that, it'll be at plenty of time for the commission meeting and probably for public art too. So, March 1st, everybody, get those things in. Anything else to come before this commission? If not, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye, or put your right hand up, please. Okay, or both. Unanimous. Thank you, guys.